past few days has been abuzz with the Supreme Court verdict to release former DIG of Armed Police Force Ranjan Koirala, who was serving life imprisonment for the cold-blooded murder of his wife. There were a few developments in the case as the government attorney filed an appeal to review the apex court decision, while lawmakers, including former Prime Minister Baburam Bhattarai, have demanded impeachment against Chief Justice Cholendra Samser Rana. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the headlines of the hour. Death toll due to COVID-19 in Nepal climbs to 45. Number of cases reaches 18,375. Tarai districts at high alert following reports of community spread of the virus. Ruling and opposition lawmakers demand impeachment against Chief Justice Rana and Justice Casey for releasing murder convict Ranjan Koirala. NCP Executive Chairman Dahal and Senior Leader Nepal hold Prime Minister Oli responsible for disrupting the party mechanism with his whimsical ways. And Ligue 1 champion Paris Saint-Germain lift their 13th French Cup trophy, defeating Saint-Etienne 1-0. The death toll in the country due to coronavirus has reached 45 as one COVID-19 related death was confirmed yesterday and the second one this morning. The deceased have been identified as an 85-year-old woman and 17-year-old young female, both from Birganj. The 85-year-old woman succumbed to the virus while undergoing treatment at the Narayani hospital. The Health Ministry added that the elderly woman was suffering from heart-related ailments and had pneumonia-related complications. Meanwhile, the 17-year-old deceased female, originally from Bara's Parwanipur, had succumbed to the virus yesterday. She had been admitted to the hospital on Friday for digestive problems and had been diagnosed of viral encephalitis. Her swab samples had been collected for coronavirus tests after death. Meanwhile, 32 individuals, including 5 prisoners, tested positive for coronavirus yesterday. Among the newly infected individuals, 7 are females and 25 are males. 5 individuals are Indian nationals who were detained at Sripur Ward Police Office, and 18 individuals were from quarantine centers as they were identified through contact tracing. Likewise, 9 individuals had voluntarily taken coronavirus tests after suspicion. Nepal reported 134 new cases of COVID-19 in the past 24 hours, taking the total tally of coronavirus cases to 18,375. Parsa reported the highest number of cases at 31. Jhapa reported 25 cases and Kathmandu 10. Meanwhile, 107 individuals registered full recovery, taking the total number of recoveries in the country to 12,947. With this, the recovery rate in the country stands at 70.5%. According to the Health Ministry, 19,444 people are in different quarantine centers across the country. The Health Ministry has urged all organizations to implement health measures, citing that the risk of coronavirus spread persisted. The ministry has said it was the responsibility of all organizations to maintain preventive measures. Now, local administration Parsa has imposed an indefinite lockdown today onwards after the surge in number of coronavirus cases in Birganj. The order came into effect from 5 a.m. this morning. The local administration has said all business activities will be halted. People from outside will not be allowed to enter the metropolis unless for special case, and that the locals' movement will be limited to emergencies and for purchasing daily essential items. Sunsari headquarter Inarua has also implemented the same decision effective today onwards. Chief District Officer for Sunsari, Farinder Mani Pokhrel, has said the decision was issued after it was understood that a police official had travelled to several places within the region after contracting coronavirus. Likewise, the Gajendra Narayan Singh Hospital in Rajbirat Saptari has been sealed after a patient in the emergency ward tested positive for coronavirus. The patient, identified as 50-year-old male from Tilati Koiladi, was rushed to the hospital after he took poison. Likewise, on 16th of July, a business operator had died of coronavirus in Rajbiraz, and the hospital nurse who attended to him and cleaning staff had also tested positive for COVID-19. 7 other individuals who came in contact with the deceased businessman also tested positive for the virus. 56 people in Rajbiraz have tested positive for coronavirus, which includes 29 who had come in contact with the deceased. Meanwhile, the local administration Viratnagar has expedited contact tracing after a doctor in the hospital tested positive for the virus. Likewise, swab samples from 167 individuals who had come in contact with an infected police officer in Province 1 have also been collected for coronavirus tests. Districts in the Tarai region have been at high alert following reports of community spread of the virus. Executive Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal and Senior Leader Madhav Kumar Nepal of the ruling Nepal Communist Party have alleged Chairman and Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli of completely disrupting the party mechanism. Executive Chairman Dahal has reiterated his claims that Chairman Oli had taken initiatives to register the former UML party once again. Dahal made the allegations while speaking at a program held on the occasion of the Memorial Service Day of founding leaders of the Communist Party of Nepal, Pushpalal Shrestha and Narabahadur Karmacharya. Chairman Dahal had earlier held an hour-long discussion with Prime Minister Oli at his official residence in Balwatar. Dahal had reached the memorial service directly from the meeting at Balwatar. At the program, Chairman Dahal came down heavily upon the unilateral ways of the Premier and said that the party and the government have failed to gain momentum due to what he said the whimsical ways of Prime Minister Oli. Dahal also expressed his objection to the proposed General Convention in early winter this year.
विभिन्न ठाउँमा कोहीले 21औं शताब्दीको जनवाद जिन्दाबाद भन्यो भने या माओवाद जिन्दाबाद भन्यो भने या त्यही हो हाम्रो त भनेर अहिले न महाधिवेशनको निम्ति छलफल ओपन गरिएको छ ओपन नगर्दै त्यसो भनियो भने या जनताको बहुदलीय जनवाद जिन्दाबाद भनियो भने त्यो अगाडि गएको ठहरिँदैन त्यो पार्टी एकताको पक्षमा उभिएको ठहरिँदैन त्यो पार्टी विभाजनतिर जबरजस्त बल भइराखेको छ भन्ने कुरालाई मात्रै त्यसले संकेत गर्छ.
Dahal also warned of a further intra-party rift if the party went into general convention without settling the issue of the people's multi-party democracy and Maoist line of thinking. Likewise, Senior Leader Madhav Kumar Nepal also flayed the modus operandi of Prime Minister Oli.
विधिको पालना गरिएन भने म नै आम द स्टेट भने ठानियो भने आफूलाई सर्वोपरि ठान्न थालियो भने आफूलाई मात्र केन्द्र बिन्दुमा राख्न थालियो भने आफू बाहेक दुनियामा कसैको केही अर्थ छैन भन्ने ठान्न थालियो र त्यस्तो अहंकारको भावनाबाट चल्न थालियो भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा त्यो व्यक्तिको पतन हुने बाहेक त्यो प्रवृत्तिको पतन हुने बाहेक अर्को केही पनि हुँदैन.
Political analysts have termed the development as unexpected as the chairman earlier this week had maintained a cordial voice and that Prime Minister Oli's proposed general convention might not resolve the ongoing intra-party wrangling. Moving on, lawmakers have demanded impeachment against Chief Justice Cholinder Samsir Rana and Justice Tej Bahadur Kesi for their verdict to reduce the imprisonment of former Deputy Inspector General Ranjan Koirala in the infamous killing of his wife. Lawmakers from the ruling and the opposition camp have demanded impeachment against Chief Justice Rana and Justice Tej Bahadur Kesi, citing that the verdict was highly dubious. We have a report.
Speaking at the meeting of the Parliament's Women, Children and Senior Citizen Committee, a number of lawmakers sought impeachment against the Chief Justice Rana and Justice Kesi. Lawmaker Ganga Chaudhary of the ruling party viewed that the verdict by the division bench of Rana and Kesi was unacceptable.
सर्वोच्च अदालतकै जुन अहिले निर्णयप्रति म पनि सहमत छैन, मेरो सरकार पनि छैन र हाम्रो सरकारी वकिलहरूले पनि त्यसको विरुद्धमा फेरि पनि यो मान्य छैन. यसको विरुद्धमा फेरि पनि हामी रिभ्यूको लागि हामीले उजुरी गरिसकेको अवस्था छ. नत्र हामीले मैले सोचिसकेको थिएँ कि अब हामी संसदहरु चुप लागेर बस्नु हुँदैन, हामी के रे उहाँलाई महाभियोग प्रस्ताव लगाउनु पर्छ भन्ने उद्देश्य मेरो मनमा हिजोदेखि मैले छटपटाहट भइसके.
Meanwhile, some of the lawmakers have opined that since the Attorney General's office has filed an appeal against the verdict, it would be justifiable to wait for the court directive. At the same time, other lawmakers want to move ahead with the impeachment motion against the duo at the earliest. The lawmakers have added that the verdict by Chief Justice Rana and Justice Casey has made a mockery of the rule of law by showing sympathy in a gruesome murder case of a woman by her husband. The lawmakers viewed that the decision has greatly shaken people's faith in the country's judiciary. There is a constitutional provision to file the impeachment motion at the parliament with the consent of the 1/4 of the total lawmakers.
In our Public Voice segment, we had asked people in Surkhet how has the lack of school operation affected children. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
आफ्नो छरछिमेकीले के गरेछ अर्को बच्चाले के गरेछ त्यहीतर्फ उनीहरू लागिरहेको देखिन्छ उनीहरू चाहिँ राम्रो ह्याबिट भन्दा नराम्रो ह्याबिटतिर बढी लागिरहेको देखिन्छ लकडाउनले गर्दा
बच्चाहरुको पढाइ नहुँदाखेरि त अब पहिला पढेको पनि लगभग बच्चाहरुले बिर्सिसके जस्तो छ
बच्चाहरु बिग्रिने अवस्थामा गइरहेका छन् अब जथाभावी हिन्ने अब त्यस्तो दिमाग सम्बन्धी पनि तिनीहरुलाई धेरै नै उ भइराछ के टर्चर भइराछ
केही कुरा जाने कुरा उनीहरुले केही जान्दैन अहिले के पर भनेर कापी किताब उनीहरुलाई मुखमा सामान्य देखाउँछौं हामीलाई के आउँदैन भने खेल्न खेततिर या कतै गाउँतिर घुम्न जान्छ उनीहरु
पढ्न सकेका छैनन् घरमै बसेका छन् के गर्ने यस्तै अलि बिग्डन्छन् कि भन्ने पनि डर लागेको छ हामीलाई अहिले स्कुल नगएको कारणले टिभी हेर्ने मोबाइल चलाउने खेल्ने त्यति मात्र काम भइरहेछ
पढाइतिर ध्यान नभएकोले घरका आमाबाबुले पनि कन्ट्रोल गर्न नसके उनीहरू बढी खेल्ने किताब बिर्सिएको जस्तो अनुभव भयो
4-5 क्लासमा पढ्ने बच्चा पनि अहिले कखरा पनि पढ्न उले बिर्सिसक्यो उले कखरै भन्न नजान्ने अवस्था आइसक्यो त्यसको सँगसँगै उनीहरू अब त गाई गोरुसँग रमाउन थाले किताबसँग रमाउने व्यक्तिहरू
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, how can the conflict between National Park and local residents be minimized? Your options are A. Public participation in conservation, B. Authorities' friendly behavior, and C. Relocating settlements. Voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And with that, time now for our special segment, Media Watch.
The government decided on Tuesday to lift the nationwide lockdown effective from Wednesday, which had been imposed in the country from 24th of March to contain the spread of COVID-19. The decision was made citing that the number of coronavirus cases in the country had declined in recent days. However, the government has prohibited gatherings such as parties and seminars in hotels and restaurants. Long-distance bus services are to resume from 17th of August and will need to adopt preventive measures. Schools across the country will be allowed to call for admissions from 17th of August as well. International and domestic flights will also be allowed to resume services from 17th of August. The government also decided to continue to seal the international borders until 16th of August. A decision to reopen educational institutions, cinema halls, party palaces, recreational sports facilities, and religious sites is still awaited. Former Deputy Inspector General of the Armed Police Force, Ranjan Koirala, who was convicted of murdering his wife and was serving a jail term for the past 8 years, was released from prison on Thursday. A division bench of Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Rana and Justice Tezbahadur Kesi had recently reduced Koirala's life imprisonment sentence by waiving the remaining years of jail term in response to an appeal filed by the convict. Former DIG Koirala was released from the capital's Delhi Bazar jail on Thursday following the verdict from the Apex Court. Koirala was convicted of killing his wife Geeta Dhakal in January 2012. Following the murder, Koirala had disposed the dead body in a plastic bag and burnt the remains in a forest in Tistung, Makwanpur. The Kathmandu District Court had slapped him with a life imprisonment sentence, while the Patan High Court had later upheld the verdict of the District Court. However, the division bench comprising Chief Justice Rana and Justice Casey reduced Koirala's sentence on 29th of June, arguing that the life imprisonment sentence, along with seizing all of his property, were extremely harsh. Nepal Airlines Corporation has decided to ground 4 of its airplanes procured from China after enduring a loss of around 2 billion rupees. The corporation concluded that it was unable to run the 4 airplanes, including 2 56-seaters. The corporation had purchased the 4 airplanes back in 2015 from Aviation Industries Corporation China for 4 billion rupees. The Nepal Airlines Corporation is waiting for the Tourism Ministry's decision on what to do with the grounded airplanes. The corporation suggested that the airplanes could be rented out or its parts could be sold. This is Abhyuday Shrestha for Media Watch and Kantipur News Desk.
That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day ahead.